Hey everybody, it's Chelsea from Little Mountain Ranch. So I'm sorry my voice is a little bit nasally today. I ended up getting a bit of a cold, but regardless of that, I wanted to make sure to get a video out for you guys. Just giving you guys a little bit of a channel update and also telling you about something that happened with one of our cows, Bluebell, a couple of days ago. We actually just about lost her. We didn't, she's doing great now, but I wanted to let you guys know sort of what happened because it's something that could happen to anybody else who has animals, who has livestock. So we wanted to give you a little update on that. So here we go. All right, so the first thing is that we hit 200 subscribers. I don't even know, like I'm really behind on this. It was like a week and a half ago or something like that. So we're actually almost halfway up to 300 already, which is so exciting. So I wanted to send out a huge thank you and a major welcome to all of our new subscribers. Thank you guys so much for joining us, joining along with us on this adventure. And so we're going to be doing sometime this week, I'm going to put out a video for our giveaway that we're going to be doing, our little draw. I think I'll probably put that one out on Friday and then we'll do the draw the following Friday. So that's one thing. The other thing that we're going to be doing is Dan and I and our eldest son Ben are doing a revamp on our cattle squeeze, so I'll put in a little shot of that here. So I haven't done any welding before, so I'm getting to learn how to weld. I got to use an acetylene torch the other day to be able to loosen off some of the metal poles that are on the sides that are kind of like the grate that holds the cow in. So I got to do that and that was really awesome. So we're doing a video on that. We're also going to be putting up a video of some logging. So we're logging a section of our property. We're doing selective logging and then we're clearing a couple of areas for pasture. So logging is one of those, for us, it's been sort of a difficult process to come to the place of where we're at now, where we've determined what part of the land we're going to log, how many trees that we're going to take, because most of our property is forested and the forests are beautiful and they're, you know, an intricate ecosystem for so much wildlife and all of that. So we've wanted to be really sensitive about how we're going about logging that. So we're going to do probably a series of videos on our logging. It's been an interesting process to get to the place that we're at now. So we're going to do that. The next video I'm going to put up about logging is where we had a friend of ours come and actually do how to fall trees safely kind of course with Ben, our eldest son, and Dan. So that'll be coming out this week. And then what else do we have? Oh, this one. I'm actually really excited about this one. I have to convince a few more of my teenagers to get on board, but I wanted to do an interview with, I have 2 homeschool graduates, and then I have 2 high schoolers that are homeschooling as well. And then my nephew is also homeschooling and he is 16. And then I have a 19-year-old niece who's graduated from homeschool. So I thought it would be kind of a neat thing to do an interview with them to get their perspective on the homeschool journey, what it's like to graduate from homeschooling, and then to sort of go out in the real world, so to speak, what that looks like. Because I know for me, when I was, when I had younger kids and I didn't have any that graduated, it was sort of this, a bit of an abstract concept to see, like, how does that work? How do you graduate kids through homeschool? What is that like for them? You know, are they going to miss out on a whole bunch? Those kinds of questions. So I thought it would be neat to hear that perspective from them. So I've convinced 2 of them already. What about you, Kate? Are you going to be involved in my homeschool interview? She's feeling really sick right now. She has this head cold, except she got it way worse because she also has hay fever, but she'll probably take part in it too. So that is coming up. I'm looking forward to that. I think that'll be a really cool one. Yeah, I guess that's for the next, I guess, week or so. And then of course the tour, which I've now been promising for like 4 weeks now. And there's been a few different projects that I've wanted to get done before I do that tour. And then I was also trying to find somebody to come out that had a drone to do some aerial footage. And I did get someone too, but we're having a difficult time getting that footage onto my computer from his drone and all of this. So it is a work in progress. I am on that. Oh, and one more thing, another video that I promised that I actually did make, and that is of our driveway rebuild. We've gotten the first section of that completed. So where we did the initial grading on it and some ditching, I did a video on it, and then I deleted the video somehow. I'm not sure how, somewhere between my memory card and the computer, it ended up being deleted, which is super unfortunate. But we have a ton of more work that we're doing on that. So we're going to be doing, we have to haul in a whole bunch of gravel. We got an old dump truck that Dan's revamped that we're going to be doing, using for that. And then we have the grader that we're going to be doing a whole bunch more grading with. And we're actually going to widen out some areas and make some pullover places because our driveway is really narrow for people to get past each other. So that will be coming up. I'm really sorry about that, guys, to have deleted that. I know some of you were looking forward to that one. And then I have tons more videos that are planned for sort of over the summer, like lots of canning. I do a lot of canning, but mostly in August. Kate and I have some cooking videos that we have coming up, sort of old-fashioned, really simple recipes that we have that you can make out of your food storage or from, you know, things that you're pulling off your land, root vegetables and stuff like that. So we'll be doing that too. Anyways, yeah, we have lots of different things coming on, and as always, any suggestions or anything like that, we really appreciate those. My phone. I have to answer my phone. Hang on. Okay. So yeah, we've got lots of videos coming up, and I wanted to say that one of the things that I'm finding, I kind of suspected it would be this way with YouTube, but I'm just getting to know our subscribers. It's a lot of fun to interact with everybody, to develop relationships with everybody, to get feedback, all of that. So it's a lot of fun. So I really encourage you guys to leave comments because that's half the fun of this whole thing for us. So yeah, so anyway, let's head out to the barn. We'll see how Bluebell's doing, and I'll give you guys a little bit of a backstory and a few video clips that I took of her, the sort of health crisis that happened with her and how we really didn't think she was going to make it, and we're super excited she did. So we'll head down to the barn now. Okay, let's go. So the other night, Dan came into the house and he was panicked because he had gone out at 10:30 and he had found Bluebell walking around like she was drunk. She was staggering everywhere. She seemed disoriented. Her eyes were a little bit glazed over, and it came on suddenly because I saw her at 5 o'clock that evening and she had been fine. It's interesting though, because even though she had been fine, I remember going to pet her. And it occurred to me after that I had thought this, but just that she had seemed off. And anybody who has livestock or animals, you know, it's like sometimes you can look at an animal, everything seems perfectly fine. They're walking, they're eating, they're drinking, everything's fine. But you just kind of, something seems off and you can't put your finger on it. And most of the time now, I've learned to look twice when that happens. It's like to really check them out, because often your instincts are right about that. And this time I didn't do it. And so I instantly, of course, felt really guilty. I'm going to post some footage here that I took that night, and I apologize that the quality is so terrible. I hadn't ever filmed at night before. I didn't have proper lighting or anything, but it'll just kind of give you an idea about what happened. About an hour ago, Dan went out to do a final check on the cows, and one of our cows, Bluebell, it's going to be, I've never filmed in the dark before, so I don't really know if this is going to work, but Bluebell was, I better go back to this light. So Bluebell was staggering around like she was drunk. She had diarrhea. Her urine was kind of weird and foamy. So we called a rancher friend of ours, and he wanted us to check for purple veins in her stomach and in her udder, because apparently there's a plant that grows in this area that can cause poisoning and actually kill the cows. Fortunately, that was not the case. I'll be there in just a sec. Fortunately, that was not the case. When we talked, we called and spoke with our vet, and he thought it was perhaps early onset milk fever. So if you'll remember before, I talked about Daisy, and Daisy gets milk fever. So we've had some experience with it. We did have some calcium magnesium on hand. He suggested that we inject the entire bottle subcutaneous, so just underneath the skin, between the skin and the muscle, and then hopefully that'll help. So that is actually what we're heading down to do right now. So we're out in the field at the edge of the forest, and we hear all kinds of cracking coming up from up above. So I'm just grabbing some bear spray because we did have fresh bear scat on the mountain a little bit earlier today. So I am just heading down to
down right now to give the CalMag and hopefully not get eaten by a bear on the way.
Still staggering.
Quite a bit. She seems, oh yeah, see, I don't know if you guys can see this, but she's really staggering. Sorry our light's so terrible. She does seem better to me though. Yeah, she's definitely.
The more she walks, the better.
I do too.
She's looking for cows.
She is. She's looking for Daisy. I know exactly where they are, but they are up in the mountain. I'd like to get this next syringe into her.
I can't guide her.
Oh.
Ow.
Just wait. Just now, like, let her get.
Also trained.
Oh no. That's a girl. Back up. Good girl. Is she okay?
She's fine. She's not halter trained. She won't follow me. I think she's just gonna go where she wants. So is that discouraging, girl?
So can you hold her there so I can do this next one?
You can try it, but if she's feeling as motivated as she was.
This is Bluebell, everyone. Okay.
I'm gonna have to hold her now.
Yeah.
Yeah, to pick a different spot.
Yeah, it's filling there though, which is good.
So, as you saw from the from the footage from that night, that Bluebell was incredibly sick, and we honestly didn't think she was going to make it. I stayed up with her for the entire night that night, and we called the vet first thing in the morning because there had been no improvement, not with the CalMag treatment. Nothing was working. She was starting to look dehydrated, and she was starting to feel a little bit warm. So the vet got here at about 10:30 in the morning. She thought for sure that it was milk fever. I was not convinced it was milk fever because I'd witnessed milk fever before. Generally, calcium, magnesium, calcium itself usually remedies the problem of milk fever, even when it's in like its third stage where the animal is like moving into a coma, very, very quickly. And we had seen very little change in Bluebell. In fact, she'd been worse. So the vet came. She gave her an IV with some glucose and some more calcium in it. In my opinion, it didn't really do anything. The vet felt like she was slightly improved, but she did have a bit of a fever, which, although milk fever is called milk fever, Bluebell, they generally don't get a fever. So I was pretty convinced there was something else going on. The vet did check the baby. What's going on? Come on over here. The baby was fine, and she was as far along as we thought she was. She's doing about 4 weeks. She hadn't bagged out a ton. There wasn't any signs really for me that it was milk fever. So after she left, Dan and I did a whole bunch of research. We thought maybe she had had a blue-green algae poisoning, because we did find some like swampy-ish kind of water up by our water tank. We thought maybe she had had that. It was a mystery to us. It was a mystery to the vet, and it was basically a waiting game at that point. By that evening, she started to improve. So her gait got a little bit more steady. She started eating and drinking a little bit more. And then, let's see, so like 10 o'clock that night, she was actually like moving without any wobbling at all, and her temperature had gone down. So we thought we were totally out of the woods. And by the following morning, so I checked her again all throughout that night. By the following morning, so at this point we're like 36 hours into the episode, she seemed totally on the mend, except she still had extreme diarrhea. And I'm talking extreme diarrhea, like basically water. So we just again watched her for a few more hours, and I noticed something. She had a bowel movement, and I went and checked it, that there looked to be peas in her poop. So we feed field peas and oats and barley mix to our hogs. So I racked my brain to see, was there any point that the gate had been left open to the feed? Was there any sign that cows had been in there? There hadn't been, but I did remember a few days prior to Bluebell getting sick that I had noticed the gate was open a little bit and I had shut it, but I didn't see any evidence that there had been any cows in there. So my husband came over, Dan came over, he went through too, he found more peas, and then as the day progressed, there was more and more peas in her stool, so we phoned a rancher friend of ours, and he said, well, that makes sense, because peas have approximately like 26% protein, super high protein. They're also quite hard to digest for cows. So and also we don't grain feed our cows, they're purely grass fed. So she must have gotten in there, eaten a bunch of it, and then basically it plugged her rumen solid. So the other thing that we did notice, the other symptom, was that she was not chewing her cud. She was passing urine, she was passing feces, but there was no cud being chewed. So that's a big sign that there's something going on with the rumen. So we're now 4 days after the incident, and her stools have now started to get solid. She passed a bunch of peas, and so that was, in the end, that's actually what happened. It is possible that with the increased amount of protein in her system, that maybe her body started to get into milk production and pulled a lot of calcium from her body to go into milk, and maybe she did have a slight milk fever. Just because there were some symptoms there. But I think what happened is that she ate all those peas a few days before, it plugged up her rumen, there was a bacteria overgrowth, and that's why she had a fever, and her rumen just stopped working and she started to get toxic. And just by the grace of all things wonderful in the world, she was able to move it through her system and is now on the mend. She looks quite thin. She did lose quite a bit of weight and just water because of all of the diarrhea, but she's definitely on the other side. There's no fever. She's eating and drinking properly. Her poops are solid, semi-solid, much better than they were, and she is gonna make it. So I could not be happier, because there's a story to go with Daisy, which I'll put into the next video, but it's a very good thing that Bluebell is having a calf. Let's just put it that way. We need the milk. So so I'll just take you over so you can see what I'm talking about. She's just having a little bit of her salt lick at the moment. Come here, Belle. She's a beautiful cow. She's a Holstein milking shorthorn. And then she also has something called, I think it's Mount Liard, something like that anyway. But she is a beautiful cow and healthy and going to live and provide us with a calf and lots of milk in the years to come. So that is amazingly exciting. All right, everybody, thank you guys so much for watching. We appreciate it as always. Thank you to all of our new subscribers for subscribing, and for all of you guys that have been hanging out with us since we started. This is really a lot of fun, and it's been a lot of fun to get to know you. So thank you very, very much. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we will talk to y'all soon. Bye.